Hello, and welcome to the 2015 two-player print-and-play contest hosted by Board Game Geek. And today we are here with Scot Eaton. Scott, you have entered the contest with the game Elementals.
Yes,
And
Elemental.
we're excited to meet and greet with you and to understand what you're all about. And also, we can start off with learning about elementals. Let's briefly. How about thematic, hierarching overview of the game?
Sure. So thematically, Elemental is a two-player duel that takes place between a light elementalist and a dark elementalist. They're competing for the role of master in an arena. So what they're both doing is they have 7 elementals apiece that they're sending into the arena, but they're sending them in under a spell of concealment. So their opponents can't know what the elementals are until they fight them. So it's a game of simultaneous movement, hidden information. So there's elements of area control, a lot of bluffing, a lot of strategy. One of the most unique parts about it is that the battle resolution is done in a 5-way paper, rock, scissors arrangement. So when you get into battle with your opponent, you don't automatically know what their elemental is going to be, but you know that you have a 50% chance of beating it.
Okay.
So that's just kind of an overview. It's a deep strategy game, kind of along the lines of more abstract strategy games, but this one obviously has a pretty concrete theme.
Yeah, the theme. Yeah, it's very strong. Let's see here. I'm going to share the screen right now. Share, and then switch over to it. And here we go on to what it seems to be the game board.
Yep, so what you're looking at is the arena, divided
And
into 7 distinct sections.
And starting clockwise from the top, we got ice, and then earth, and then rotating toward the bottom, we got wind and fire, and dead center, we have water.
Yes.
And so I'm excited to find out how those work, and more. And first off, let's find out what the 2 spots there that we haven't talked about.
So the 2 spots you haven't talked about are the summoning circles for each of the players. You can see you've got light on the left and dark on the right. So that's going to be sitting directly in front of you, and it's kind of your home base. You get a couple of special things that happen when your pieces are on your home.
Oh, very cool. So, where does the pawn start? Toward the one side's earth and ice?
Yeah, so the pawns will actually start on your summoning circle on your home space.
Okay. I see it.
In the rule book, there's kind of the starting arrangement. They don't all start on it because it's a little bit too hard to get that spot right in the very back. It's a little bit too hard to get that one into play. So I modified the arrangement to use the 2 blank spaces on either side also.
Okay. And then, so let's switch over to the other design here. I had this one going. This one. Oh, there we are.
Yeah, so you can see the start here.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Interesting. Oh, okay. One guy's dark and one guy's light. Got it. So the orientation is sideways on the last photo.
Yes. So, whenever you're creating a 2-player game and you've got kind of 3D elements to the board like I have with the fountains, the question is which way is up? And obviously which way is up is going to make that person feel the most important. So I just chose that up is between the 2 players and you're both looking at the board sideways.
Yeah, I picked up on the isometric towers immediately. That was very cool. So you're marching in from side to side, dark versus light, polar opposite players.
Yes.
So how does one? I see stacks of chips. Do you kind of like spread them out with different values there as well?
Yeah, so you see that the chips have different numbers on them. Those don't have anything to do with strength or anything. On the edges of the board, you'll see that there are 2 circles with a D8 placed on top of them.
Yeah.
Now, this is a little bit older version of the art from what I uploaded to the contest. Mm-hmm. But essentially what you'll do is if you want to move piece number 1 straight ahead of you, you'll rotate that D8 dice so that the 1 is facing up, and then you'll place it in the up position, just right above the center.
Okay.
The reason that it's important to do this is because, of course, it's simultaneous movement. So if I'm sticking my finger on the one piece saying, "Are you ready?" well, then you have information about what I'm going to do. I'm going to move the one piece. So
Uh,
in order to take that away and truly make it a simultaneous selection, I use dice on the movement mat.
oh wow. So the angle of the D8, the tip of it pointing is which direction you're going to go.
So that is part of it. The D8 is great in that it actually does have triangles and it points a direction.
Mm-hmm.
But you see that the movement mat has an inner circle and an outer circle. The inner circle has 6 points on it, and the outer
Right.
circle has 12.
Right.
So those 6 points are the direction that you're going to move. If you wanted to move up left, you would place the D8 in the up left space.
Right. Okay. And then the outer eight
Yeah, the outer 12
or 12.
is for special movement. So you can see on the board and on the side, there's a couple of these acrylic crystals that are pretty common in board games.
Yes.
You can actually get those crystals when you have defeated an opponent's piece. So when a piece comes off the board, it gets sucked into one of the 2 energy wells and crystallized. Once you have these crystals, you can use them to perform a number of different special moves, the most basic one being a dash, which allows you to move 2 spaces in a turn. Some of the other ones being more complicated, like healing a wounded piece, or even taking a piece from shogi, giving you the ability to bring a piece back onto the board when you have enough crystals.
Oh, great. Seems like the rule set is pretty solid, solidified.
Yeah, as I said in the contest, this one's been in playtesting for almost 2 years now. So I've brought it to a place, a chess club that meets in my local town, and gave them the challenge to break this game, and no one could do it.
Or find a path that's unstoppable kind of thing.
Yeah,
right?
find a dominant path to victory that's going to make you win every time. Now, some of those guys being chess players and pretty big poker players, they were playing mind games with each other, and it was kind of fun to watch, but there was no dominant strategy that could beat another.
Now the little light. It seems like the power lights on the sides are mimicked on your player mat with the D8.
Yes.
What are those? Those 2 lights.
Those 2 lights are the energy wells. In the new printing that I have, I removed those from the movement mat.
Okay.
But what those do, obviously, those are the places that the crystals can generate, but they have an additional function that they allow you to warp from one side of the board to another. So if you've got a piece on one of the energy wells, rather than moving on your turn, you can place your dice in the middle of the mat with that number facing upwards and swap the 2 pieces that are on the energy wells. So you can take your opponent by surprise by moving their piece into an ambush, or you can try to move your piece to a more advantageous spot to get the energy fountain bonus.
So the stacks. How high are each stack?
It's 2 checkers high is what you see in this picture. I got packs of wooden checkers from the thrift store. Yeah.
Okay.
My actual preferred way to do this, because most checkers have 12 pieces for each color, whereas my game requires 14 if you're playing with the Bolt Elemental. That is optional.
What is the second layer? Does that allow you to expand, or is that like a hit point?
Yeah, the top one is actually the number of the piece you're moving.
Right.
With the hit points on it. So you can see that it's a very light color. This is telling you that your piece is at full energy. And when you take a hit, you'll flip it over and it becomes a little bit darker and a little bit smaller to let you know that your piece is at half energy. The second one that's on the bottom, that's your actual element. So either fire, water, earth, wind, ice, lightning, or light, dark. One player has light, one player has dark.
Okay. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
well, it
so
looks
what
like
I was-
a pretty
what I was
exciting. Go ahead.
What I was going to say with that is, if you want the full 7 pieces, if you're not using the Bolt Elemental, the best way to do this is just with poker chips. And that's the reason why in the printout file that I gave, I made the circles 3/4 of an inch rather than a full inch. 3/4 of an inch will fit inside almost every poker chip.
Okay. So you scaled the map to fit the poker chips.
Yes.
All right. Perfect. Yeah, I think a lot of people were looking at those going, maybe I'd use poker chips if I was going to do this design instead of wood discs or some other ideas that are be accessible to somebody printing it out besides chips or discs. Did
Yeah,
you?
the main thing you want to watch out for is that it is a game of hidden information. So if you've got pieces that don't align when they stack, then there's always the danger that one of them is going to slip off the top, and you'll give your opponent information that they shouldn't have.
Oh, so in between the sandwich is hidden information.
Yeah,
The
so the second one down, the one that's on the bottom of the stack,
yeah.
that is your actual elemental. And
Okay.
so you don't want your opponent to know what that is until you're forced to reveal it to them. So much of the game has to do with bluffing and making sure that you're not revealing too much while trying to get the most information out of your opponent. So if that top piece slides off, then essentially you're giving your opponent information they shouldn't have. So
Right.
anytime you get two pieces that can interlock and stack, that's why I suggested poker chips and checkers. But if you're really careful and you've got really heavy pieces, you can use just about any disc that'll stack on top of another.
Okay. Well, that I'm glad I brought it up because it's the design's coming full circle. Understanding all the rules or what you're doing, and
Yeah,
um,
and I wanted to call out a little bit. You see the 5 different zones that have to do with the elements. What those do is those will actually give an offensive bonus when you're fighting on them. So
oh,
let's say that you move your fire piece into the fire zone and you're fighting against a frost elemental. Well, normally you would do half damage, but since you're being powered up by the fountain, you will do a double hit and that piece will be removed immediately. The reason that those are there is because in just a straight up game of hidden information, um, essentially it comes down to guesswork. That I guess that I'm going to hit this one and hope for the best. But because of the fountains, you can watch the movement patterns of your opponents and say, okay, I noticed that he is completely avoiding the water fountain with this one. So his piece may be fire or earth because he doesn't want to risk taking that double hit.
oh, okay. So that's great that there's some solid deduction in there.
The other thing that they do is the light and dark. Light and dark actually fight as whatever they're standing on. So if your light elemental is standing on the water zone, it'll fight as a water elemental.
Uh,
So your
oh,
your king piece is actually the most powerful piece on the board, but it's extremely risky to use it.
sounds like chess, right? Your king can move all directions, but it's your thing you have to protect.
Hmm.
Um, so you said that a certain type couldn't be underneath a specific tower, and you said it was 5 locations of each element. I mean,
Yeah.
of single specific element was it? Because I see 6 spots on each element.
Yeah, so each zone actually has 7 spots. You've got
Okay,
the middle one and the 6 outer ones.
right,
Sorry if there was any confusion there. The elementals can be under whatever number you want it to be.
okay,
And any elemental can move anywhere on the board, but because the fountains give an offensive bonus to the matching elemental,
right.
you're really at risk if you move an element that's weak to that onto the space.
So how am I to traverse something that is going to get in trouble? Pass. Oh, you just work around it. Okay, I can see how you can work around it. You just don't touch the element, the large 7 spots wherever you can't go.
Yep,
How
and definitely use the energy wells to your advantage to move your piece to the other side of the board.
how am I supposed to know which one would be hampered or hit by the wrong element? Is there a
Um,
document for that? I mean,
Yeah, so what you're not seeing in this and what I've included in the new version of the printout is a visual shield. And since I'm sitting here at work, I don't have it with me. But that
Right.
shield will it'll go in front of your movement mat
Right, to
so that you
prevent
can, yeah,
simultaneous setup. Okay.
you can place your dice wherever you want to and not have to worry about making sure you've got the dice turned the right way and ready, set, go. On the back of that visual shield is a chart.
Hmm.
And the chart will, I don't know if there's any way for me to share my screen, but I can pull it up for you.
Is it rock, paper, scissors, lizard, Spock?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
So it's
Ah,
got it in pictorial form, and then it also has it written out with words for the people that are a little bit more verbal.
all right.
So
Perfect.
you're always looking at this as you're moving your pieces.
Yeah, that's great. Man, so it's coming together. The design. I'm glad we talked about it. It solidified the design in my mind. I'm sure also our viewers a lot quicker than I am. So yeah, this is going to be great. I think people are really going to enjoy this overview.
Good,
Uh,
yeah.
so
And I will say,
how long have you been, Scott? How long have you been designing?
I've been designing games since 2010.
Oh wow, that's about
And
when I started
yeah,
as well.
so what happened is I was living in Japan for 6 years,
Oh
and I
wow,
came back during the height of the recession, and just could not get a job.
that's right, the bubble pop, right?
So I mean, I had tons of experience, mid-level management, and there was nothing. So I ended up, you know, living in my parents' basement.
Hmm.
I'm really lucky that I have parents who are able to help me out. I know a lot of people don't have that,
Right.
but I wanted to play a new game, and I didn't have any money for one, so I figured that I'd better just design one.
Oh wow, that's
And
pretty cool.
so I started off designing fan expansions. So I did one for Catan, one for Seven Wonders, and about 3 years ago said, this is really working. I should try an original design. And Elemental actually is that original design. I've developed, I think, 5 more games since Elemental,
Oh wow,
but this is the one that's got the sweet spot for me. This
this
is the
is your
one,
white well. Okay,
yeah.
very cool. Yeah, I started up the same time you did. So I was inspired by retheming Dominion. So it seems like you started in, like you just said, kind of adding on to games you enjoyed.
Yep, and I liken it to, when I learned how to draw, I did it by tracing. When I learned how to write music, I did it by arranging other people's songs.
Uh-huh.
So in doing board games, I see a lot of designers get in there and they have this great ambitious idea that doesn't work
Right.
because they're trying to do idea, mechanics, theme, they're trying to do all of it at the same time. So what fan expansions allowed me to do is it took a system that I knew worked and I knew it was balanced, and I started adding pieces onto that, learning the idea of scaling, learning balance, learning pacing, all of these different things without having to worry about the fundamental, does my game actually work?
Right. That's great. Yeah, a lot of the designers might be able to pull some of that, key information there. Um,
Yeah, and it's,
Speaking of the other competitors, have you? This is the first contest you've been in, the two-player print and play.
yeah, this is well, I've got one for the micro game contest. I've got an entry in that also.
Oh
Um,
wow.
I will say that's much more just to participate in the community. I do not think that one's going to win. It's
Well,
much more.
don't throw it under the bus. It's probably a solid design, just like this one is.
Yeah, but as you're designing things, and this is some more takeaway, especially for new designers, not every idea is good. Some of them just stink. And,
Okay.
do what you can with what you have.
Uh-huh.
The one that I entered in the micro game contest, I enjoy it. It's fun. I play it over my lunch break. I play it with my wife. She really enjoys it. Is it ever going to get published? Come on, no. It's not going to. It's not a good enough game.
Wow.
But that's not the point of all of the game designs. You do it because you love it, and sometimes you come up with a game that you love and no one else does. Uh, the problem that I've had with Elemental is a lot of publishers take a look at that grid on the board and they
Yeah.
just run away in terror.
Right.
because no games are doing that right now, aside from the Duke by Catalyst Games, which has sold more than anyone would have given it credit for.
Right.
'Cause
Right. It's
players love it, but publishers say this isn't what's hot right now. I don't want to touch it. But then when I get someone to sit down and actually play through a game of Elemental, oh, it was great. I was at Protospiel a couple of months ago and had two guys walk in off the street, and you could tell that they were hesitant to play games that weren't published and maybe weren't finished. And as they played this game, about every 10 minutes, one of the guys would look over to me with wide eyes and say, "Oh my gosh, you can do this? This game just keeps getting deeper and deeper. This is amazing." So typically, after one playthrough of Elemental, the people that love it know that they're going to love it, and they know that it's a great game. It's just getting that first playthrough that's been tough for me.
uh, yeah, it has that a very strong Duke chess feel to it. Strategic. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's great. Yeah,
So I
I
noticed you. Oh, go ahead.
oh no, I had nothing to add.
Well, I was
Other
going to
than
say, I've note that you are a game designer. I looked at a couple of your games on Board Game Geek. Do you have one in this contest also?
I do, I took the constraint of LCR
Oh, yeah.
and turned it into a dry Euro for comedy's sake, and and
Well,
and to create a solid design. Honestly.
yeah, well, I mean, if the ratings for LCR on Board Game Geek say anything, there's really not further that you can go lower than that. So if you add in any player agency whatsoever, I think you're doing well.
Yeah, to take something that has absolutely no value and is cost effective and use that as components. That's pretty solid idea.
Yeah, I've got another project I'm just going to mention offhand here
Okay.
that
All
doing kind
right.
of the same thing. So it's called Hoyle 6. I'm writing about it on my blog.
Oh, okay.
You can go to thepolariscollective.wordpress.com.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And so it starts off with taking a traditional deck of playing cards and adding in two more blue suits, Stars and Crowns, to bring you up to a full 6-suit deck.
Well,
So
what was?
the Polaris Collective.
I'm not collective.
COLLECTIVE.
Maybe Google will help me find it. Correcting my spelling. Here we go. Boom.
Yeah, that top one right there. The collective I do with a friend of mine, Andrew. He's got a game just signed by Minion Games, which is going to be awesome. But if you
Oh,
hover over my name, Scot Eaton's Games,
okay. All right. Yep.
it's
Boom.
down there called Hoyle 6.
Here we go. Loading it in.
So it
Oh,
starts off with a.
how many people are in the collective?
There are two of us officially, and then associates who have made one or two games apiece. And we're not exactly a design group where we double up on designs,
Mm-hmm.
but we meet together and play each other's games, make sure we're reaching a standard level of quality, and then also just kind of support each other while we're going to these conventions of, hey, that talk with the publisher didn't go so hot, but keep your head up. You got the next one. Yeah, you can see one of mine here, which is a co-op tower defense Power Rangers game that I've been working on.
Nice. I'd love to see what you did for path movement solution.
Yeah,
The
I'll show you.
yeah.
Essentially, your Power Rangers, you can teleport, you can go anywhere. But the monsters start in at the edge of the board, and they're trying to get to your command center to destroy it.
Ergo, panic, something, castle panic direction.
Yeah, I really, really wanted to like Castle Panic. I really did, and I just didn't. So I
Okay.
decided to make a better game.
Okay, but the guys come in the same concept on the opposing force. coming
Yeah,
in.
and the funny part is I designed this game without ever having played Castle Panic.
Oh, yeah.
And the same thing goes with Elemental, that I had never actually played the game Stratego before. I didn't know that there were other board games out there that had hidden information on pieces.
Oh,
So
wow.
this is kind of funny that way. Yeah, Hoyle 6. So you got the 6-suit deck. I also throw in 6 dice, 6 pawns, and then 6 mini poker chips in 6 different colors, so
Uh-huh.
36 chips. And then some
Nice.
then some scorecards that you can either combine into a linear score track, or you can flip over and each player has their individual scorecard. So it's the whole thing that you're talking about with LCR of designing within constraints.
Yeah.
And I made this as a developer's toolkit. Yeah, this is the one that I've got entered in the microgame contest called This Side
Oh,
Down.
oh, nice.
Think of it as a six-way Connect Four, but you're always changing the direction of down. So you
Oh,
place a piece, and then you change the direction of down, and all the pieces fall in that direction.
oh,
One
great.
player, one player is playing the colors of the poker chips, and the
Hmm.
other player is playing the symbols on top of them. So someone pointed out, I think it was George Jaros, he pointed out in my example picture, you can see that you've got the three spades lined up.
Hmm.
And so the character who was playing symbols would get a point. They said, hey, wait a moment, you also have three
Oh,
green lined up, and I hadn't even noticed when I took the picture.
oh, yeah, yeah.
So the green player would also, or the colors player would also get a point in this example.
On the second image on the bottom?
Yeah.
Oh,
So you can
yeah,
see you've
yeah.
got the three symbols and the three colors lined up.
Oh,
So
yeah, yeah.
yeah, 2 points were gotten in this turn, and I didn't even notice it when I put together the instructions.
And so when you're dragging it down, the blue chip would get hung up, assuming gravity's running the way of the arrows. The blue chip got hung up on white player.
Yep. So that white pawn is a shelf, and
Yeah,
that instead of
manipulate the scenario to where you could align things.
yeah, so instead of placing a piece, you can choose to move the shelf to any open space,
Hmm.
and then change gravity twice. So that's an alternate on your turn.
Now, does the gravity move in a predictable direction?
It's wherever you place it on your turn.
Oh, you okay. You got control of the direction of gravity. Okay.
Yep.
So very, once again, strategic, just like elementals.
Yeah, and the thing that I love, just with the Hoyle 6 project in general, I think I've got 4 games that I've made for it. What you were talking about with LCR, designing within constraints,
Uh-huh.
um, using a toolkit, and specifically, I think so many people get caught up on art and theme that they
Yeah.
forget to make a good game.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so what this kit is meant to do is just focus on the game, focus on the mechanics. When you got something that works, then add in art, add in theme, do whatever, but make sure you've got a game first.
Right. Yeah. I like the way you're bringing that. I'd be very interested in maybe people posting in the YouTube comments their opinion on the focus of mechanics first, and the value of strategic mechanics, versus
Yeah.
maybe one of the viewers would push for a theme first.
Well, and game designing is an art. And if there
Uh,
was one way to do it, it wouldn't be an art, it would be a science. So
right.
I've had games that I've designed theme first. What I want to caution people on is theme makes people interested in your game, but it doesn't make a good game. You got to have
Right.
both sides.
Right. You're right. Yeah, and it's an interesting blend how some designers marry the two, and there's tremendous designers out there that are accused of zero theme,
Yeah.
mechanics only, pasted on theme. I guess the term pasted on theme is actually a thing in quotes that
hmm
that that can happen.
Yeah,
Um,
and I've played great games with pasted on themes too.
yeah. Oh yeah. That's, I mean, what, half the Euros will probably get in trouble for that statement, but
One of the things that I've really liked with Elemental, it started off as a ninja, samurai, archer, like people on the field of battle with one unit being good against another.
yeah.
Um, and really, you could put a lot of different themes on it. But when I chose to do the elemental summoning and the magic route, that just informed gameplay so much. It shored up everything that wasn't working. It just made it a tight package.
Uh, oh, it's I like the way you're designing. I think that you would be an excellent partner, with somebody that just drawing on theme only. I think that you would be an awesome, uh, kind of antagonist, or kind of counter partner to really battle between them breaking your mechanics to marry perfectly to theme, and then you pulling them back to mechanics that they would have never thought of, you
Hmm.
know. So in depth.
Well, keep an eye out for Super Galactic Battle Mounties. I feel like that's my best work yet with marrying theme and mechanics.
Oh yeah, I think if you get the theme and organic feel to it, man, you have a very bright future because of the depth of strategy of just the two games I've seen.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well,
So
John, I gotta
okay,
run.
all
I'm
right.
hitting
You
up the edge of
guys,
my lunch break here.
yep. Thanks for showing us elementals, and I hope you wish the best for you in the contest as well.
Yeah, and good luck to you too.
All right.
And hopefully we'll chat again sometime.
Absolutely. Thanks. Thanks again. This is John for the Two Play Print and Play contest and signing out.